Okay, we're going to talk to Jan about her studies in gray 1, 2, and 3 and how these came about in the whole presentation of Alleys of Richmond shifting perspective. So Jan, take it away.
Okay, well, these were inspired by a doorway in an alley between Grace and Broad that it was a white wall and a gray door, and it had been graffitied and painted over and graffitied again and painted over and graffitied again. And so it had built up really beautiful layers, and they were all black, white, gray, different shades of gray. And then there was this one splotch, one little figure of graffiti in bright blue off to the side. And so I interpreted that in different ways. This is a stitched piece. I took the photograph that I originally took and manipulated it and printed it, or had it printed on cotton and then overstitched it. This is a collage that is made all from the insides of envelopes. And I was going to originally use it as the basis for a print, but I made the collage and I liked it so much as it was that I didn't need the print. I'm still going to do a print either by itself or over some kind of base, but that's for another show. This stitched piece is made from, almost all of it is silks and cottons and linens that I've salvaged from clothes, and I'm going to be, and I over dyed them with natural materials. There's some hibiscus in there, some poke acorns make the sort of silvery ones. Some of the brown is from just rust. So I laid those out. This was a long process to lay this out and get exactly the right placement and then piece it together. So that's all hand stitched.
Well, it's interesting too, because talking about dyes and how we used to come up with colors and used to do things before we had dyes.
Exactly.
You had to actually find the natural fibers and the natural plants, like beets.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
to get the colors that you needed. So this is very cool. I love these 3 pieces because it ties in collage, it ties in stitching, it ties in fabric. And I know you're going to share with us the actual picture that you you took that from.
Cool.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing all that with us. It's really interesting to see the behind the scenes and how it all works. And as we had started talking about before, the natural dyes and how these all came about before we had dyes that we could go buy at the store. What plant or bark or whatever did we have to come up with to actually create the dyes ourselves?
It's really fascinating. I don't do a lot with it. I just do what's in my yard. So this time of year with the goldenrod blooming, I use that to dye. And the poke is fruiting, so I use that. So
thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
It's awesome. Now let's take a look at some of Linda's work.
So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the pieces I did on this wall, which are the long views and close-up views of alleys. And some of them are in the Fan, some are in Carytown. Again, trash cans featuring prominently in this one. As a matter of fact, the title is 3 trash cans, because they became kind of the focus of my energy. And over here we have more trash cans, and I was just fascinated by the texture of the asphalt and the ground movement and shadows. But then we have the close-ups, which were actually, this one was done behind what was Main Art, it's now Food Dog. So years ago, done on plein air, close-up of Morning Glories with the texture of the building that was behind it. And this one, I call the Pretty Alley. I have no idea. They must have named it because it is a beautiful little alley in the Fan, sort of near Joe's Inn, I think. But I drove around a lot and walked a lot, so I can't be sure of that. And these, both a wilderness and a cultivation at the same time. Clearly some of these things were planted, they've been cared for, but they also grow in great profusion right in this area. Across the street there are garages with very carefully manicured plants and potted plants as well. And this one even had little Lombardy pines lined up, so if you were in a certain way, you'd almost feel like you were walking through streets of Italy, which was great fun. So I kind of, in this case, both did close-ups and hand away views of the alley, both in oil, like this one with the knife, and then the ones in the glass are gouache, which is opaque watercolor.
We'd like to thank Linda and Jan for putting this exhibition together, and you can actually see it live and in person until Sunday, November the 8th.